Hello. I am starting um, a strict carnivore diet today. It's uh, February 14th, and I just thought, okay, it's time to just jump in. I've been playing with carnivore since July of last year and have not been strict, and I keep playing around with potatoes, seem to be my nemesis. So I got to last June, July, my diet was basically meat, iceberg lettuce, avocado, artichoke hearts, olives, um, maybe some onions and garlic. And it just seemed like my body was having reactions to everything. So I am starting today on a 40-day trek of just eating meat, salt, water, fat, and my supplements. I have uh, off camera there for a minute, but these grass-fed. I know they're backwards on for you guys, but these ancestral beef liver, beef organs, and uh, collagen, grass-fed collagen, and some digestive enzymes, and this one's beef pancreas. Um, Digestive enzymes and iodine because I have thyroid issues. I wanted to make sure I covered. I don't want these videos to get like really long. So in each video, I do plan to try and post every day. Um, and I don't want them to get too long because people tell me that their attention spans are tiny. So I'm planning on one meal a day between 3 and 6. Because of my shamanic energy sessions with Holly, my guides are saying to have one cup. I can have 1 cup of coffee, and that's a weird thing because since the accident, I've been a coffee drinker, and I wasn't a coffee drinker before the accident, which is a very strange, weird thing. So I have my 1 cup of coffee here in my with my butter. I'm gonna do butter. Coffee is a low oxalate. I have issues with oxalate, so even in my own head, I'm going, okay, so why are you doing that? So I'll do the coffee and see how that goes. I may decide to just get rid of it and get rid of the butter that I put in it as well. I probably put 2 to 3 tablespoons of butter in my coffee. I think my weight is around 155 pounds, but I'll weigh myself in the morning and see where we're at there. So I have my cheat sheet here. So 40 days. I'm gonna meditate. I've been a meditator for 7 years, and I will increase that to and actually go back to my original practice, which was 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes in the afternoon. Um, Start that again, and then also start a yoga practice that I have not done. I used to have a weekly yoga practice. Um, and since the accident with the cracked ribs, I'm going to start out with just stretching. But I do have room in my bedroom to lay out my mat. Um, and so I'll start there and see how that works. Why this and why now? So some of you have followed my story. Some of you know the whole autoimmune part. Um, what sets me a little bit apart from most people that do carnivore is that I'm a type 1 diabetic, and I was taught that I have to eat carbs. There is no way that you cannot eat carbs. Um, in my journey, the last 7 years, I was first diagnosed as a type 2 diabetic, which is not autoimmune. And then I was diagnosed as a type 1 diabetic, which is autoimmune. They kind of, when I ended up in the emergency with diabetic ketoacidosis, they were kind of like, oops, oh, you're a type 1, not a type 2. I think they just assumed I really didn't have any testing, which now in retrospect, it's like, why were we not testing for that? But I think they assumed since I weighed 260 pounds, I had to have been a type 2. So I have autoimmune issues, and the type 1 diabetes is a little tricky because I have to monitor my insulin. And I've really, in the last 6 months, really learned that those of you that are not a type 1, if you do carnivore and you stop eating carbs, your body, your pancreas stops making insulin to cover your carbs. So I control my insulin through shots. And so I just have to decrease my insulin. And yeah, it's a little bit of a, trial and error thing that I've got to do, which is fine. And I've pretty much got it down to where I can just reduce my long-term insulin. I was on originally back in July when I started. I was on 10 units of Basaglar twice a day. So I would take 10 in the morning and 10 in the afternoon. I'm now down to 6 in the morning and 6 in the afternoon. And I assume as I go through and totally eradicate the carbs, I can reduce that long-term insulin still. Now, the short-term insulin, those of you that don't know, you take that with your food, depending on how many carbs you eat. Depending back in July, depending on what carbs I was eating at a meal, I would take 10 units of insulin per meal. And I've really been probably 2 meals a day for 2 years. I can't ever imagine going back to eating 3 meals a day. I can't imagine why a body would need to be eating. And in my coaching, I've never suggested to my clients that they eat 3 meals a day and snack in between, because I think your metabolism needs a time to rest and to use energy for healing. So I'm going to go to, for this 40 days, have an eating window between 3 and 6. And I may just eat meat for those 3 hours. Just, maybe not just have one meal. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do there, but I'll keep the eating between 3 and 6. So yeah, the short-term insulin is taken with meals and how many carbs you eat. And so I would go sometimes from 10 units, depending on what kind of meal I was eating. And now I'm down to basically, I don't take a whole lot of short-term insulin anymore. So I'm really kind of excited about this whole thing. And it's just totally changed the way I think about food. Those of you that know me know that I was in a car accident 10 years ago. And that's when the alopecia and the hair loss really showed up. And my hair has come back 3 times, and I've lost it 3 times. This time it's been probably 5 years since I've had hair growth. But I did notice the other day after I got out of the shower that I have hair on this ear. And then I have some eyebrows coming in. So I'm really kind of excited about that. I would really like to just heal my body, and that's why I'm doing this. I ended up, after that accident, I do believe that the green smoothies helped. I've learned now that plants are medicinal, and they need to be used as medicine. We were never meant to eat them every day, all day, 3 meals a day. And when I started, I've done raw vegan, I've done vegetarian, I've done paleo, I've done autoimmune protocol paleo, I've done keto paleo, and so it got down to I wasn't eating much of anything besides meat, and not having a reaction with meat. So it was like, okay, that's about all I can eat. So then my friend Leanna, thank you Leanna for 5 years ago, I have to tell, she told me, she's going carnivore, and I was like, what do you do? What does that mean? And she goes, well, I just eat meat. And I'm like, oh my God, you're going to die. That's really what I thought then. And I was totally not educated then, and I'm much more educated now. So you don't die on there. There are plenty of people that I have seen videos of and talked to that have been carnivore for 11 years, 12 years, 14 years, 15 years. There's a couple out there, I don't remember their names, 20 plus years they've been carnivore. And so I'm not going to die. I had to get through that. And I think I was playing around with that in July and August of last year. And it's like, okay, I can do this. And then I had to get past the whole diabetic thing and what my endocrinologist at the time was telling me. And she was like, Amy, you will kill yourself if you don't eat carbs. And that just never made sense to me because coming out of the hospital 7 years ago, they told me, you needed to eat between 30 and 45 grams of carbs per meal. And I tried. I tried to do I tried to do that. I was like, okay, I'm going to do what they tell me to do. And I would just chase those carbs with insulin. So sometimes it would take me 72 hours to finally get a number back in the quote normal range. And so just over the years, it just never made sense to me, but I kept trying to do what they told me to do. And so now it's just like, okay, I'm just going to reduce my insulin and quit eating carbs. My body just doesn't like, if I eat carbs, like at my evening meal, or if I would drink alcohol, my liver, and all of you diabetics out there, remember that your disease is not a pancreas issue. That's the secondary thing. It's a liver issue. Your liver is not dealing with the sugar and dealing with the carbs that turn to sugar. So my liver will dump the sugar in the middle of the night, which leaves me with a high blood sugar number. Hi, Diesel. Will leave me with a high blood sugar all night long. So I've dealt with high blood sugars for 7 years now. 250, 300, 320. And I know all of you out there that are diabetics, you're going, oh my God. I know, it's oh my God. But I kept trying to eat the way they told me to eat, doing 30 to 45 grams of carbs per meal, 3 meals a day, and then chase it with insulin. So I'm like, okay, this madness, I have got to get off the madness train. So I started out with green smoothies and salads, and those of you that know me, you know, I posted them. My green smoothies were so full of oxalates at the moment, and I'll go through in some of these videos all of my symptoms that I'm looking at trying to get rid of. I have 2 years ago, I started developing these rashes on my skin, and I had this whole arm was a mess. Some of you may remember that. And then my neck over here has got stuff. And it seems that it's oxalate related. My hands, my middle fingers, I've thought for quite a long time that I had arthritis because thyroid issues and diabetes issues and arthritis, those 3 autoimmune diseases like to play together. So, but I think this is oxalate, and you probably can't see it really well, but I can't bend my middle fingers down all the way anymore. And that's probably been the last probably year. And I think it's oxalate dumping. It's oxalates in there. My green drinks were full of oxalates, which are poisonous. So, learning lots. But I think the green smoothies after my first accident 10 years ago really did help with the reduction of inflammation in my body. But then I think there was a point in time there where I crossed that threshold where the plants that I was eating started causing damage. And it's not like you eat an oxalate. Well, some people are that sensitive, but it wasn't that way for me, where I would eat an oxalate and I would have an immediate physical response. I do now to things. And the latest thing is, and I don't know if you can see it, I have this what they call the butterfly, and I don't know what it is exactly. I'm not going to run to the doctor every time I have something to get it diagnosed, but it kind of itches and it's inflamed. It's puffy. So that's the newest thing that I've got going on, but I've got a whole list of other things that I'm hoping this way of eating strictly is going to start to help my gut heal. And autoimmune issues are gut issues, period. They equal one another, and there's no really getting around that. So, the carnivore diet is the ultimate elimination diet. It takes out all of the things that are that are issues, and it's funny because there's uh, I always thought grass fed organic was the way to go. I'm changing my thoughts about that as well. Um, you can't really say things are organic. I mean, like the secondary thinking there is how do you keep all the pesticides and all that stuff that's in the air from getting on the plants or getting on the plants that the cows eat? Or, I mean, you just can't. And then, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, I read an article where they spray the organic produce that's on the trucks. So, those of you that are strictly organic, you might just really want to think about that. And you're paying extra money because it says it's organic when it probably isn't. Now, unless you have uh, really have a sensitive system, you could probably eat. And my kids all swear by Aldi and get your ribeyes from Aldi. And I'm going to start buying my ribeyes from Aldi. And the last set of bone broth, I don't know, some of you may have seen that post. It was all grass-fed bones, and I couldn't eat it. It smelled bad. And somebody reminded me that grass-fed can be it can have a gamey taste and smell to it. So I'm back to getting bones at Williams Brothers here in Washington, and at Schnucks. I'll get them at Schnucks. Um, so yeah, so that's this post, and I do plan to post every day. And those of you that are diabetics, I do plan to talk about my numbers every day. When I first started back in July, I kept trying to find type 1 diabetics that have gone carnivore that have really done a lot of videos and done a lot of explaining and following their journey on this. But I'm learning that there are a lot of type 1 diabetics that start, but then they just can't seem to get off the carbs for whatever reason. And a lot of people will follow their doctor's advice, which I did. And it's, I'm just kind of doing my own thing. And I now have a endocrinologist that I can really work with. He doesn't really understand the whole carnivore thing, and he doesn't understand why I'm not eating carbs, but he's not like really holding my feet to the fire and saying, oh my God, you have to do this or I'm going to fire you. So I like those kind of doctors because I work with my alternative doctors and I put together my team. So it doesn't cost me an arm and a leg because we don't have health insurance. But I'm my own guinea pig. And those of you that know me and follow me, and you know that about me. So this video is, I'm looking at the timer, is almost 20 minutes. And the other videos that I do I'm going to try and keep to 5 minutes. So people have an opportunity, to tune in and catch the video of a day when they have a spare 5 minutes here or there. So that's it for today. It's my first day of 40. And after 40, I do plan on doing this the rest of the year, but I'm going to reassess where I'm at after 40. And we'll go from there. So have a good day. Subscribe and like my channel, and I'll see you later.